All right. Here we go. Here we go. Finally got things up and running. We're here. Let's get right into it, guys. You see the title and you see the thumbnail. What we're talking about is must read books. Now, the title is Five Books Every Man Must Read. You might be wondering why I gendered it here. I gendered it because these books in particular, every human really should read these books, man and women. But I definitely encourage men specifically to read these books because the books that are on this list, they will aid men in their role as leaders. All right. I think that men are natural leaders in every relationship. Men should be the leaders in their households. Men should be leaders. These books that I'm going to encourage you to read all help self improvement, all help you gain wisdom and leadership abilities. All right. So men and women should read these books, but specifically men must read these books. Women should read these books. Men must read these books. These books have had that I have read multiple times at this point. Most of these books I've read more than once at this point. These books have had the most profound impact on my character, on my life, on my mentality. These five books are books that I would encourage every man, every human to read at least once. Additionally, these books are all available for free, not only in the library, of course, which is an outstanding resource. I think everyone should have a library card. If you live in the United States of America, there is no reason for you not to have a library card where they literally give books away for free. All right. Everyone, I don't understand how anyone could be homeless if you have a library card. Because if you have a library card, then you have access to computers, you have access to free Wi Fi, you have access to free bathrooms where you can clean yourself, you have free access to books and education. If you live in the United States, a library card is mandatory resource. Everyone should have a library card and everyone should have these books. Not only are these books available for free in the library, they are also available for free on YouTube. You can listen to these books as audiobooks. You can listen to these books as audiobooks. They are all free, full audiobooks available right here on YouTube. So if you're watching me right now, if you can hear my voice, you must have access to YouTube. If you have access to YouTube, there's no excuse for you to not at least once listen to every book on this list. Okay? All right. So with that being said, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Now, before I get into it, I gotta give a quick disclaimer. These five books that I've got on this list, these are in no particular order. So you might say, oh, why'd you put this book higher? Why'd you go with this book first? I just ordered these books because of the way I want to format this conversation. All right, I want to break down some of these books, and some of them I'm going to have to spend more time on. So I just ordered them because in the order that I want to talk about them. All right, but I'm not telling you you should read these books in this order. I'm just saying find some time, if you haven't already, to go back and read or listen to these audiobooks because they're great books and they can change your life. All right. So, with that being said, let's get into it. Number one, the Bible. Of course, I got to put the Bible on here for a few reasons. Number one, I cheated. All right. There's more than one book in the Bible. There are multiple books in the Bible. So by counting the Bible, by counting the Bible, I got actually 66 books on the list all in one. All right. So I got to put the Bible. If you put the Bible, I got 66 books. Each one of these books are included in the Bible. All right. Not only that, but on a more serious note, the Bible is one of the books, and shout out and salute to Wiggs One Love. Good evening. Much respect to you, brother. So, one thing about the Bible is the most debated book that most people that you encounter have never read. I have never seen a more controversial book than the Bible. Everyone has an opinion on the Bible. Oh, the Bible is trash. It was written by man so long ago. It's trash. You shouldn't believe it. There's stuff in the Bible that's outdated, some people say. Some people say, oh, the Bible is the most holy book, it's the Word of God, but they haven't read it. I'm talking about you've got Christians who have been in the church for decades and who have never read the Bible from cover to cover. You've got people who would not set foot in the church, who demonize the Bible, who say the Bible is trash and there is no God, who straight up blaspheme against the Word, blaspheme against the Most High, blaspheme against the Holy Spirit, and they've never read the Bible for themselves. The Bible is one of the most controversial books that most people that you debated with, most people that you talk to about the Bible, they've never even read it. I've had conversations, I'm talking about multi-spanning conversations that'll span multiple hours, ended for the night, and then resume the next day with attorneys, esquires, multiple attorneys, and these attorneys have never read the Bible. I'm like, you are an attorney. Now, I've been to law school and I'm debating with other lawyers. I'm talking about full JD, past the bar. I'm like, when you were in law school, when you go to fight, argue a case in court, would you go and argue a case and you've never read the case brief? You haven't read the facts of the case, but you're going to argue this case in court? You would be surprised how many people will argue that either A, the Bible is the truth and there's no flaw in it, and they're super devout Christians, but they've never read the Bible. And on the flip side, you've got straight up and down atheists who say there is no God, blaspheme against everything in the Word, and have never read the Bible for themselves. If you read the Bible, you are ahead. I would say you're ahead of 80 to 90% of the population in every conversation around religion. If you are ever involved in in a religious debate, in a conversation surrounding religion, and you've read the Bible, I guarantee you the majority of the people you discuss this topic with have not read the Bible. You will put yourself in a position of advantage just by the fact of you've read it and they haven't. So you can steel man their arguments. You know the areas where they don't even know where they might be have a point because they haven't read it. You can steel man their arguments. You can straw man their arguments. You can. I'm telling you, you would be surprised the confidence you will have in yourself engaging in conversations about religion, about the Bible, about the Word, having read it for yourself, and knowing the good and the bad that's in the Bible because you've read it and the other party hasn't. So, at the top of the list, I wouldn't say number one, as again, these books that I'm going to list here are not in any specific order, but I've got to make mention of the Bible. If you read the Bible, you're putting yourself ahead of the game in the vast majority of religious conversations. The majority of the population has not read it, but they'll steady talk about it. They'll talk about the Bible, they'll demonize it, they'll lift it up, and they've never read the book for themselves. So there's 66 books in here. And the Bible, again, is one of those books where people, even churchgoers and Christians, they'll go to church and the pastor will say, open your book to the book of Matthew, which is in the New Testament. Okay, now open your book to the book of Isaiah, which is in the Old Testament. Now go to Corinthians, which is in the New Testament. Now go to Deuteronomy, which is in the Old Testament. The pastor's jumping around picking out selective scriptures, and that's because he wants to make a point. He's trying to teach you something. I get that. I understand that. But you, as the audience, you're just skipping around with the pastor, having never read the book for yourself. Again, you've got to read the book, the Bible, from start to finish. Start at Genesis, page 1, and read to the end, to the book of Revelations. You've got to read from cover to cover, just like you would any other book. A lot of times people grab the Bible and they want to, well, I don't want to read the whole Bible. Let me just read the book of Matthews. Let me just read the New Testament. Or let me just read the first book, the first couple books, the Torah. Let me read Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy. Let me read the first 4 or 5 books and forget about the rest. No, I'm telling you, you've got to read the from beginning to end, cover to cover. Don't skip around. Read it just as you would any other book. Another advantage, besides having more knowledge over the majority of the people you'll talk with having read the Bible, is the fact that as you read the Bible, it will pique your interest as to opening up other books. So as you're reading the Bible, you might think, you know what, the Bible is actually more interesting than I thought. Maybe I should pick up the Apocrypha. Maybe I should start looking into the books that did not make the cut to get into the Bible, but were also written by the prophets, right? So you'll start, it will expand your mind and it will trigger you to start expanding into other books to read. For example, as you're reading, you read the Bible, then you're like, you know what? How is it that I've never read the Bible? Let me read the Bible. And as you're reading, you realize all these other folks who haven't read it, and then you'll think, well, I should probably read the Quran next. Once I read the Bible, hey, I've read the Bible. Nobody's read the Bible. Most people haven't read the Bible. I've read that. Maybe I should move on to the Quran. So by reading the Bible, it will pique your interest and trigger you to read other religious texts. And you should read all of these texts with an open mind. Try to eliminate all the dogma. When I read the Bible, I was not going in as a Christian or anything of that nature. I was reading because I want to read this for myself. So many people talk about it. So many people argue about the word, having never read it. I want to read the whole book for myself just so I can say I've done it. All right. You can break it up. Hey, every day I'm going to read 5 pages. Over the course of a year, you read 5 pages. In a year, you're going to be done. All right. You don't have to read it all in one sitting. I understand it's a large text. A lot of people get overwhelmed because there's so many pages. Break it up. Every day, read 5 pages, read 10 pages before you go to sleep. Or as soon as you wake up, read 4 or 5 pages. Okay. Find a routine where every day you can read a few pages. You break it up, and over the course of the year, after about a year, you will have completed the book. All right. A lot of people are like, they start reading and then it's like, oh, it's too big. Let me move on to another book. I'm telling you, the way to read the Bible, you break it up. Break it up into small sections. Read a few pages every day, and it will accumulate over time. And before you know it, the entire text will be all up here. All right. The Bible, in my opinion, is a must read for every man. And I'm telling you, when you enter into conversations having read it, knowing other people haven't, it gives you a little bit more confidence and competence to feel as though you're not just speaking out of turn. You're not speaking about something you've heard. You're speaking about something you've read for yourself. Not only that, it gives you some discernment. So when other people say, hey, well, the Bible says this, you know, well, in context, what the Bible was saying this. For example, when they talk about the curse of Ham, right? When they talk about the curse of Ham, oh, black people are cursed because of the curse of Ham. If you read it for yourself, then you would know Ham wasn't cursed. Noah's cursed Ham's sons, right? So it's a whole. You got to read it for yourself. All right. It's a guard. It's a wall from being deceived. We're living in the last days, in my opinion, and false prophets, false teachings will abound in the not too distant future. So by reading the Bible yourself, you give yourself a wall of protection from deceit, confusion, and misdirection. So the Bible, in my opinion, is a must read for every man. All right. Number two, number two, number two. We got the classic, Rich Dad Poor Dad. Okay, I like this book. Again, these books are in no particular order, but Rich Dad Poor Dad, he teaches you, Robert Kiyosaki, he teaches you financial literacy. He gives you a foundation, the seeds. All right, these books that I'm going to put on this list are basic books. They're not very detailed. They're not going to give you the blueprint of how to become an overnight millionaire or anything like that. But it will give you the tools to lay the foundation of financial literacy. So Rich Dad Poor Dad, he gives a history, a story of the way he grew up poor, even though his dad had a really good job. He grew up relatively, middle class, lower class. Whereas his friend, his dad was a business owner, so he goes to work for his friend's dad, getting paid nothing, right? Getting paid nothing as a child. And he's ready to give up. He's like, why am I doing this? And over the course of the book, I'm not going to give you any spoiler alerts, but he realizes that the rich dad, his friend's dad, was actually teaching him lessons that that he could incorporate later in his life and use to build wealth. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad is a really good book. I think everyone should read that. Next, we have the 48 Laws of Power. This is another book. Now, with these last two books, you can kind of see why I'm targeting these specifically towards men. The 48 Laws of Power is a good book to give you principles to live by. All right, this book is by Robert Greene. The 48 Laws of Power. He gives you principles to live by. He gives you small lessons that you can small principles you can incorporate into your life, and they will put you in a better position if you follow these laws to have success, whether it be in your job, your career, have success in your relationships. It gives you more confidence and more competence, knowing to operate with these laws in your subconscious. Just to give you some context, I'm going to give you a few examples of the 48 laws. Let me see if I can pass these down. All right, so the 48 laws of power. Never outshine the master. If you're working a job, having read this book, you'll know, well, even if I have a dumb boss I feel like I'm smarter than my boss. I feel like my boss is lazy. I feel like my manager is never on time. I'm more competent than my manager. You might feel like you can disrespect your manager sometimes because you're more competent or you end up doing his job. A lot of time I've had times in the past where I worked for managers and I worked for people who I was like, how did this lady get this job over me? And she's incompetent. She's late all the time. She's lazy. She has me doing the work that she should be doing. This is under her job description, but she's got me doing it. And especially towards the end, when I'm ready to leave this job, I might get to the point where I'm just going to disrespect her and I don't care about what she has to say. No, no, that's not the right way. Never outshine the master. Never burn your bridges. There's a lot of laws here that you can incorporate in your professional life and incorporate them in your character. Meaning, don't just use these situationally, don't just use these in certain situations. Incorporate this to who you are. Make these laws a part of who you are, and you'll see how they're relevant across various domains. Never put too much trust in friends. Hey, maybe you don't have to read a book to learn this, but it's important. And the way that Robert Greene breaks these laws down, he gives you examples. They're almost like parables by giving you history lessons. He gives for every law, he'll give a separate story. It's almost like the Bible, the way it's written in parables. The way every law, he has a parallel story to reiterate the importance of the law and the way that the law, using the law or not using the law, affected the antagonist or the protagonist. So never put too much trust in your friends. You'd be surprised they can let you down. I've been in situations where, hey, I'm moving to a foreign country. I'm quitting my job. I'm selling everything. I'm quitting my job, selling my car. I'm moving to another country. I'll get to the other country. I'm a little short. Who can I ask for help? I've given this friend, thousands of dollars when I had a good job and when they were late on their rent. I've helped them out. I'm sure they can help me with what, $50 so I can have something to eat until I get my first check at the new job. Well, never put too much trust in your friends. I'm just saying. There's a lot of good laws here. Conceal your intentions. Always say less than necessary. One rule we know as far as relationships is discovery is better than disclosure. Right? You should allow people to discover who you are, discover what you have. Don't go showing off, oh, by the way, I've got the new Mercedes Benz. I got the new I got a new Tesla sitting outside. No, don't brag. Discovery is better than disclosure. Always say less than necessary. He who controls the tongue controls power. The power of life and death is in the tongue. So by saying less than necessary, you are showing self-control, mastery of self, right? Always say less than necessary. So much depends on reputation. Create an air of mystery. Get others to do the work for you. Make other people come to you. Oh, you're always going to your friend's house to hang out, huh? Sometimes it might be nice to have your friend come to your house. Huh? I'm just saying there's some laws here, and there's stories that are related to each one of these laws that are interesting in and of themselves. Make other people come to you. Win through your actions. All right? And avoid the unhappy and unlucky. Ooh, that's a bar. My brother, before he died, God rest the dead, he used to go through it because he had sickle cell. And I moved down to Atlanta, and I moved back to Atlanta, and I was trying to save him, right? I was trying to save him. I said, hey, bro, I see you're going through it. Come stay with me, bro. Come stay with me. I'm going to instead of getting myself a 1 bedroom apartment, I'll get a 2 bed, 2 bath, and you can come live with me. Don't worry about the rent. I got a good job. I got the money. Don't worry about it. You just come live with me. Everything's going to be taken care of. All right, before he died, hey, I want to help you out, bro. I'm going to change your life. Yeah, I know you're struggling with sickle cell. I'm in the gym. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a workout plan for you. I'm pescatarian. I'm going to change your diet, bro. I'm going to help you out. I'm going to help you get your life on track. That was my mentality. I moved down there. Man, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something. If someone can't help themselves, if someone can't find it in themselves to help themselves, no matter what you do, the situation will not get better. You cannot help someone that will not help themselves. Let me tell you that. So avoid the unhappy and the unlucky. That's just the top 10 as a preview. But the 48 Laws of Power, it's available on audiobook on here on YouTube. I'm telling you, you will not regret reading the 48 Laws of Power. All right? Very good book right there. Let's see what else we have on the list here. The richest, okay. I'm sure you all have heard this one. The richest man in Babylon. Yo, if you have not read The Richest Man in Babylon, again, this book is also it's in the library for free. It's on YouTube as an audio book. It's free. So every book that I'm listing here is free on YouTube. You can listen to it as an audiobook for free. You can go to the library and take it out for free. You do not have to pay to get these books, but it would behoove you if you haven't read them or listened to them yet. If you haven't read them already, you will not regret reading any of these books. I promise you. I can make you a guarantee. I have not met anyone who has read these books and regretted it. Oh, that was a waste of time. Oh, I didn't learn anything. These books that are on this list, it is impossible to read and not learn something. Now, The Richest Man in Babylon, I like this book personally even better than Rich Dad Poor Dad. A lot of people are big fans of Rich Dad Poor Dad as a foundation base level of financial literacy. But me personally, I read The Richest Man in Babylon before I read Rich Dad Poor Dad, and I prefer The Richest Man in Babylon actually. The Richest Man in Babylon, again, is broken up in a series of small parables. There's a few parables in The Richest Man in Babylon, but the book is giving you financial edicts, financial rules to live by, such as never spend more than 70 to 80% of your income. 10% automatically you should put into savings. If you're in debt, 10% goes to paying off your debt. The way that they break it down, these are principles to live by as far as financial literacy. They make it the way that they convey the information through parables makes the information very memorable and enjoyable to read. It's not now I like self-improvement books that will help you. You can implement these changes in your life to make your life easier and better. So that these are the types of books that I like personally. But The Richest Man in Babylon, the way that I like these self improvement books, I like the fact that they come in parables so that you can enjoy the stories. There's a story. It's not just hey, do this, do A, B, and C, and your life will be better. Though that's good. I like those types of books too. But these books are do A because A happened in this story, or do B, B happened in this story. So they convey these messages through story, through parable. I think that makes it that much more enjoyable. The Richest Man in Babylon is an excellent book. I do not think it's possible to read this book or listen to the audiobook and regret it. I would, I'd bet my house on it. I just don't see that. I just don't see it as a possibility of reading and not enjoying these books. All right, and the last one, just top five books, top five books. We went through the Bible, we went through Rich Dad Poor Dad, 48 Laws of Power, The Richest Man in Babylon, and the final book, drum roll please, Dale Carnegie, How to Win Friends and Influence People. How to Win Friends and Influence People. This book truly changed my life. This book truly changed my life. Before reading this book, I was a real aggressive, let's say angry. I was very angry. I was not a very happy person at the time in my life when I read this book. I was a rebel without a cause. I was, I was always war ready. I was walking around, especially when I was in DC. Whew, I was walking around with things tucked. I was never smiling. I was ready. I was war ready at all times. And this book helped me to change my mentality. All right. This book taught me to smile. Literally taught me to smile. Literally, literally. When I go out the house to this day after having read this book, when I go out in public, whether I'm in a good mood or a bad mood, you wouldn't know it because at least I'm smiling. At least I'm smiling. Having read this book, it makes me smile for no reason. I'm telling you, this book literally changed my life. How to Win Friends and Influence People. Reading this book made me less judgmental. It taught me the phrase, but for the grace of God, there go I. But for the grace of God, there go I. I see people do stupid stuff and you're driving, someone cuts you off in traffic, people do stupid stuff, you know. Before I would be very judgmental. I'd be very judgmental. Like, why is this dumb guy? Hey, get out the way. Get smack that. I was on 10. But this book really helped me calm down. This book made me smile more. This book made me less judgmental. This book made me more forgiving in my interpersonal relationships. Like even my relationships, my family members, my loved ones. It showed me how to give love and peace to people that I actually care about. This book, I can't say enough good things about this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People. It will make you more forgiving. It will make you it pick up the habit of smiling. A lot of people say, "Hey, I've got resting." They call it resting bee face, right? I'm not cursing for YouTube purposes, but a lot of people, I hear a lot of females, especially say, and these are books for men, but females are encouraged to read it too. Say, "Oh well, I'm so unapproachable because I've got resting bee face. I just look mad all the time, but that's just my face. It's not something I'm doing." Well, maybe you should smile more. Maybe you should smile more. You would be surprised because the world is responding to the way that you are in the world. If you're going out in the world and you're defensive, even if you don't think you're defensive, you're just resting, minding your own business, but your resting face is one of anger, and I'm talking about from experience. That's how I was. That's how I was. My face was always okay. All right. Don't talk to me. Don't look at me. I don't want to be your friend. I got enough friends. I got enough friends. Don't look at me. Don't talk to me. If you're in my way, it's going to be a problem. Stay away from me. Let me do me. I don't want no problems. Stay away from me. That was the air. That was the energy that I used to have around myself, especially in public. When I'm around my friends, okay, I can relax. I can chill. But I'm in public, oh, I'm on 10. I'm in public, oh, I was war ready at all times. At all times, I either got blades on me or I got the heat on me at all times. At all times, especially in DC. Trust and believe me. But after reading After reading How to Win Friends and Influence People, it taught me to calm down. It taught me to be less judgmental. It taught me to smile. You'd be surprised how many people, they probably, I used to think, especially as black men, we go outside and we see, you ever heard someone say, hey, why are you looking at me like that? Why are you looking at me like that? You looking at me? We got a problem? You don't know. For all you know, this person actually likes you and they just don't know how to say it. This person might be looking at you because they find you attractive. No homo. Pause. Pause. But you would be surprised. There's people out there who will want to be your friend. They think you look like a cool guy. They think you look like someone that they want to get to know, but they don't know how to say it. They haven't read How to Win Friends and Influence People. So they don't know how to start a conversation. They don't know how to smile. So by you taking the initiative instead of going out in the world looking like, yeah, okay, y'all better leave me alone. Y'all better not, yeah, come try me. Instead of going out in the world with that mentality, go out with the mentality of, hey, I'm fine. I'm confident. I'm capable. I'm competent. And I'm smiling because my life is good. Even if your life isn't good at the moment, no reason not to smile because smiling is free. Smiling is free and it makes you feel good. If you go out in the world, whether you lost your job, you don't have a job, your rent's due, your car broke down, whatever you're going through, smiling still remains free. And that's one of many lessons that I learned after reading the book How to Win Friends and Influence People. Smiling, the power of smiling, the power of not being too self-righteous, of being forgiving, of giving people the benefit of the doubt. I'm telling you, How to Win Friends, these books that I just listed, these top 5 books, the Bible, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, 48 Laws of Power, The Richest Man in Babylon, How to Win Friends and Influence People. The Bible is up there, but I would say How to Win Friends and Influence People. These books are not in any particular order, but How to Win Friends and Influence People in my life, I'd say this is arguably number one. This is arguably number one book that I've read in my life. All right. So, hey, today is a short video. I just wanted to break down some book suggestions. If anyone out there is looking for some books to get into, some books to check out, those are my top 5 books. You leave it in the comment section. Tell me what books make your list. Are any of these books already on your list? Have you read any of these books? Are you going to read any of these books? Give me some suggestions. Maybe there's some books that you would say, hey, that's a good 5. You should add this to your list. Oh, you should check out this book for your next time. If you give me some suggestions, I might check them out. Who knows? Maybe I'll come up with top 10 books. This is top 5 books every man must read. Give me some suggestions. I might check them out. I'll check them out from the library. I'll let you know what I think. So, tell me if you've read these books. Leave it in the comments section. And tell me what books should have made the list if I didn't mention them here. As always, this is a sponsored video. So salute to the sponsors of today's video, which is a sickle cell PSA. I'm going to come back with this video, well, this sickle cell PSA, and come back with some closing thoughts. Y'all check this out.
This yoga routine is great. Thanks for inviting me. Yoga and low-impact aerobic exercises not only helps in mitigating my sickle cell symptoms, but also enhances both my physical and mental health. A real win-win.
You're right. I heard water aerobics is really beneficial too, but I don't want to get my hair wet. It's not like I can just let it air dry and still look good.
You've got that right. And the expense. I haven't yet found a swim cap that really keeps all the water out.
We should come up with an exercise regime specifically designed for the unique physiological, cultural, and financial circumstances of our African American sisters in their sickle cell culture. It certainly would unlock new possibilities for health and comfort.
Low-impact exercises are beneficial to women living with sickle cell. Moderate intensity programs such as endurance training, walking at a brisk pace, and cycling at a moderate pace are excellent examples of helpful low-risk exercises. Moreover, focusing on exercise programs specifically designed for the unique physiological, cultural, and financial circumstances of African American women will unlock new possibilities for health and comfort.
Boom! Brr, 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 brr. Brr, 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 brr. All right, all right. Once again, salute and shout out to everyone who participated in the making of these sickle cell PSAs. That's some sponsored content for you guys. And just to reiterate the importance of low intensity exercise from anyone who is suffering from sickle cell, things like yoga or water aerobics are highly recommended. I highly recommend, as I was mentioning earlier in today's video, when I went down, moved back down to Atlanta, I had my brother living with me. He was suffering from sickle cell, and I tried to get him on a yoga regimen, and well, not tried. I did get him on a yoga regimen, which is low intensity exercise, and I saw some good results. He himself saw some good results, and he was saying, "Oh my goodness, I wish I had done this sooner." Like this yoga is so great. You know, his hips by the time he was winding down in life, unfortunately, his hips were so worn. The cartilage were done. He needed a hip replacement. Only at the age of 40, 42, I think he needed hip replacement. And you know, he couldn't do a lot of running. We when we were younger, we would play basketball and stuff like that. But as we got older, he just couldn't move around like that. So he was so excited because doing things like yoga allows you, even chair yoga. You can sit in the chair and do yoga, just stretch, moving your body with low intensity exercises, and you would be surprised the way it activates your muscles. Just doing simple movements without any weight involved. Just holding certain stretches can, and I'm trying not to move too much because I've got a small camera frame here, but excuse me, low intensity exercise like yoga can have profound effects on your body and on your mental health. So anyone from suffering from sickle cell, I would encourage you to check out yoga and water aerobics. All right, guys. So that's my top five. Again, be sure to tell me what you think of this list. Leave it in the comments section. And if you have any suggestions for books that I should check out, leave it in the comment section. Y'all know I read all my comments. Once again, salute to the kid. Wiggs, one love. Appreciate you, brother. He says good evening and much respect. So shout out to Wiggs, one love, getting active in the comment section. With that being said, it's going to be a short one today, and I'll see you on the next one.